Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of So What's Your Goal? I am your host, Travis Otto, and you guys are going to want to pay attention to this episode today because we've been really trying to line up the guests, and today we have an exceptional, phenomenal guest in the studio with us. I'll introduce her in just a minute. But now we have been getting a lot of new listeners lately. So if you're listening to this show for the first time, you're going to want to stick through to the end because our goal here is to help you improve your life in one of three categories, either your health, your money, or your relationships. Hopefully all three, but most importantly, we're going to inspire you to take action. Now, today we have Jillian Michaels in the studio with us. If you don't know who she is, she's an American businesswoman. She's known for being on the show The Biggest Loser. She has multiple businesses, coaching, consulting, health, fitness. She's the expert guru on everything related to the human body. And lately, she's even dabbled in a little bit of politics here. Not so much running for office or anything like that, but just kind of commentating on really, really important economic and social things that are happening today and things that you guys are going to want to pay attention to. So without any further ado, Jillian, welcome to the show.
Hey, I love the setup. Setup is super pro. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Where are you calling from today?
I'm actually in Los Angeles right now. I feel like
Okay.
Al Pacino in The Godfather. It's like every time you get out, something's like always pulling
Pulls
you
you back.
back here. It's like
Yeah.
family, work. There's always something that unfortunately I'm having to travel back to LA like once a
Yeah.
month for something. So we
Okay.
keep a little place here just in case I need to be here. So
Yeah. For
here I
something. Well, I
am.
mean, there's a lot of stuff in LA, and I'm sure. I mean, I know you're a little bit of a celebrity, so I'm sure there's always something in LA going on for you. you know.
So I know, yeah. Generally I'm able to work out of at my home in Miami
Oh,
via
awesome.
Zoom, but some things you need to do in person.
Yeah.
Um, and or like I still have my mom's here, my brother's here, so sometimes I need to go in and out for things like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I know you don't have too much time today, but I appreciate you hopping on with me. And I have really about three questions I wanted to kind of get down and talk to you about. So
Yeah.
the first one being that you were on that show, The Biggest Loser, you're one of the trainers on there, and maybe you've been asked this question before, but what do you think about Ozempic and all these weight loss drugs?
I have been asked that one before, but you can't ask me too many times because it's certainly not making a dent every
Yeah.
time I answer. Good Lord. Listen, this is an issue that is complex. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is you've got the socioeconomic component of people not being able to afford healthy food, right?
Yeah.
So that puts them in a position where they can't afford it. In certain parts of the country, they can't access it. And the food is designed to be addictive. Big Tobacco bought big food in the 80s and they pushed the
Mhm.
up button on ultra processed food,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And in addition, the way that the Farm Bill works, our ag policies for Monsanto and Conagra and Cargill, and I don't mean like your mom and pop farmer. I'm talking about
Big
monster,
stuff. Yeah.
big farming. You've got about 500 extra calories a day per person in America. And with those 500 calories, they've had to make food omnipresent in order to capitalize on it. And this is why, you used to go to a library and you weren't allowed to bring in food. Now there's a cafe in the bookstore,
Mm.
right? Everywhere you go, there's food, a vending machine. Everywhere you go, there's food. So you're always surrounded by it. It's super cheap and crappy. And if you're at all financially disadvantaged or you live in a part of the country that isn't entirely cosmopolitan, your choices are exceedingly limited.
Yep.
So, that in conjunction with the rise in technology and the way our lifestyle has become more and more sedentary over the decades, has an overwhelming positive correlation with the rise in obesity and obesity related diseases. There's like 170 comorbidities that are associated with obesity: cancer,
Yeah.
heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and so on. So you got a problem, a big problem. And instead of looking at how to solve those issues, big pharma comes in as the third player in our toxic triad. So you've got big farming, big food, and big pharma. And they're like,
Hmm.
this is great. How do we make money off of this? Jabs in the thighs. And
Yep.
all right, so here's the downside to it. The downside is that it's unbelievably expensive. But if you're like, I can afford it, my insurance is covering it, fine. In perpetuity, okay, because you can't get off of it. All the meta analyses on these drugs show us that if you get off of it, you'll gain the weight back and then some. And there are a host of reasons why it would be and then some. But put it this way,
Hmm.
it's basically yo yo dieting on crack. So you're not getting
Okay.
off of it. If you think you're getting off of it, you're going to be way behind the eight ball from where you started.
Hmm.
So you got to be on it forever. Got to have the money to be on it forever. It's a marriage, not a fling.
I didn't know you had to be on
Second,
it forever. I thought it was one
it,
of those things. You
if
take
it
it
was
till
one of
you.
those things, I might play ball. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like there are a lot of drugs that, you've got serious acne. Accutane's terrible for you, but in 6 months, you're pretty much cured. It's very rare that you wouldn't be, and your liver can heal itself, so on and so forth. Same thing with
Yeah.
Chantix, super toxic, super bad for you, but it has a 35% smoking cessation rate, and you can get off of it, right?
Effort,
This
effort,
is
and
forever.
sacrifice are super low. Super low.
So now you're not getting off of it ever. It's expensive. It's got a host of side effects, and your risk of suffering from one of those side effects is exponential. So the longer
Hmm.
you're on it, the greater you run the risk of stomach paralysis, intestinal blockage, pancreatitis. Thyroid cancer is rare, but it does happen. And the doctors that tell you it doesn't are lying. They're
Hmm.
just lying. I had a huge debate with a pair of brothers that sell these drugs online, and they're like, there's no safety signal for this. And there is. One came out of France. Though it only happens in rats, that's a lie. There are thousands of cases over the past couple of decades. It's not true. While it's
Hmm.
rare, it does happen. And the longer you're on it, the more at risk you are for it. So all those side effects aren't awesome. I don't think. There's also a ceiling. You plateau on the drugs at around week 68 to 72. The body adapts. It finds a homeostasis. So while you can
Yeah.
hold the weight loss you've achieved, if you have more to lose, you're not going to lose it. So with semaglutide, the number is like 15% of your body weight. Then you get into tirzepatide, which works on two hormone pathways, and that could be like 22% of your body weight, which is a decent number. Now they've got a King Kong agonist, which works on three metabolic hormonal pathways. That's not out yet, and I don't even know what that's going to look like. So just keep pushing the up button. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, if you do have more weight to lose, you will plateau, and over time, you're going to be able to eat through it. In other words, you're going to have to figure out how to have a healthy relationship with food at some point. And you're going to have to figure out how to move your body at some point, because ultimately you'll adapt to it in the same way we develop things like insulin resistance.
Yeah. Develop
So
resistance to the drug. Yeah. Hmm.
if you're all the way back to the beginning, in other
Yeah.
words, you still need to deal with it. And over time, your risk of side effect increases, and it's extremely expensive, and it's not a permanent solution. Have you really tried everything? And the last thing I'll say is that there's a very different impact with regard to the individual who's already sick and the individual who's taking it just for weight loss. So, a lot of these studies done by the drug companies are done on people who are advanced with regard to type 2 diabetes, CKD, cardiovascular disease. If you've got a person that's just trying to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, they don't have a dysfunctional vagus nerve, they don't have metabolic dysfunction, they don't have any of these things. And therefore, it's hard to explain. We need a bit more time. But if I could give you one example, vagus nerve is part of that gut brain connection, right? The vagus
Hmm.
nerve plays a huge role in saying you're full. Okay. If
Yeah.
you've eaten through those signals, your vagus nerve is already dysfunctional. If you're type 2 diabetic or pre diabetic, it's already dysfunctional and not working. If you just want to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, it is working. But GLP 1 will bypass the vagus nerve. So now you're not utilizing your vagus nerve properly. And there are a lot of obesity doctors who think if you're consistently bypassing the vagus nerve, it will become dysfunctional. Whereas in people who are already sick, it already is dysfunctional, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. So, in other
Yeah.
words, the side effects are going to impact different people differently. With things like this, you really need to work with your doctor and be extremely proactive in the cost benefit analysis of this. If you're very advanced on the spectrum of disease, you could twist my arm, even though I know lifestyle would work for you just like it works for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I would say take that money that you're spending on Ozempic and spend it on a therapist. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but and I
Yeah,
could go on, but nevertheless.
I could tell you're passionate about that. I love it. I figured that would get you going. And I know we don't have too much time, so I'll keep it quick. But I noticed you in some of your some of your social media on your YouTube channel, you kind of got a little bit more political. So my question was,
Yeah.
you know, do is there a candidate on the ballot this year that you think actually cares about the people and 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 the outcomes
Okay.
for the people?
I would never want to influence the way somebody votes. I actually understand why people are voting both ways.
Yeah.
I can't understand why people can't understand it. It's like very clear. They'll tell you what their issues are. And the thing is, their issues are different. There's different things that are important to different people. And they're leaning into the candidate that they think is going to deal with their needs better. People are generally 1 to 3 issue voters.
Yeah.
The stuff that concerns me politically is nonpartisan. And everybody should be worried about the NIH dodging FOIA requests regarding COVID. This is not political. Like,
Mhm.
everybody should be concerned. Everybody should be concerned about the obesity crisis. Everybody should be concerned about big pharma and big food running rampant. Everybody should be concerned about the medicalization of children that are gender questioning. Like, this is not Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's where it's insane that people are making these issues political footballs, which is, by the way, why I've become political. I have no business being political. I'm not
Yeah.
an economist, I'm not a politician. I don't understand geopolitics. Like, it's just because my wheelhouse
Hmm.
has now inherited
These problems.
this
Yeah.
polarization. Yeah. So, is there a candidate? I mean, running for president? Neither are my ideal choice. Um, I think, as much as people try to paint him with the crazy brush, I don't think RFK is a bad guy at all. I can't speak to whether or not he would make a good president, but a lot of the stuff he talks about with regard to my area of work is spot on.
Hmm.
Sorry to say.
Okay.
You got to look beyond the headline. Like, look beyond the headline. He doesn't eat dogs, and he's not actually an anti-vaxxer. Look beyond the headline.
Headlines are just clickbait. That's all it is, man.
Oh my God, it's insane. It's like, ugh. So, listen, he's controversial, but when it comes to health, I mean, he's cleaned up the Hudson River. Like, he definitely cares about people. But
Mhm.
I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I have no business doing that. You got to
Yeah,
vote with your heart.
sure.
And the issues I'm trying to get people to pay attention to should appeal to you, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I'm
I
personally a
agree.
libertarian. They should
Yeah.
appeal to them too.
Yeah, especially the libertarians. We're all about, civil liberties and freedoms.
Right?
Yeah.
Gosh, what the hell?
So, okay. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to run. It's a pleasure meeting you, and good luck to you, and hope you have a fantastic end of the year.
Thank you so much. Right back at you.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, Jillian.